Welcome back to the VHS Vault. I'm, of course, VHS Chase. Next to me is the great Jason Roy Gaston, but we are not alone tonight. We have a very, very special guest.
We have been infiltrated.
Yes, our friend of yours, and he's paid me to say that, Joe Pombo, the captain from Captains Quadrant, our co-host on the great Captains Quadrant channel. How are you, sir? Welcome back to the VHS Vault.
I'm
what are you doing here?
Back.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
It's been a long time. I think it was Aitor, the Invincible.
Yeah,
Aitor, the
and I still haven't been able to get that strike off the channel. So
yeah, we did get strike for that. We tried
Worth
the live stream.
Worth it.
Worth it.
You can't live stream. You can something you can see for free on YouTube.
Yeah, that was bizarre to me. I don't know. I got to call up YouTube.
Well, we're not going to have any of those problems tonight.
No.
I can assure you of that. But we are here to talk about a film that, well, it's probably been impactful with all of our lives, and that is, of course, the Terminator, which is on the thumbnail. So what we're going to do now, Joe, is we decide to go back and have a look at the memories that came from watching this show. So, Joe, we're going to start it off with you this week because you're the guest. What are your memories of first watching this movie?
All right. So my memories of watching this movie, this is where my uncle and I bonded. We had tube TVs, and this generation may not know, but back in the day, we had these massive televisions, and we had this giant 19-inch. He had the biggest television in the house. It was a 19-inch TV and the VHS player. We rented it from Showplace Video, RIP, which was a precursor to Blockbuster. It was a mom and pop that existed. And I remember going in there and my mom going, I don't know if you can watch that. And I was like, yeah, I want to watch it. And I watched it and I went, oh my God, I probably should have watched this. It was so violent, but I loved it. And to this day, when you guys told me, hey, we're going to do a VHS, we'd love to have you on. And I said, oh yeah. And then you guys said, oh, it's going to be the Terminator. And I said, oh yeah. So,
that's fantastic.
And
How about you, Jace? What was your memories?
I honestly do not remember when I first watched this movie. It just seems like it's been a movie that I was born and knew frontwards and backwards. I love this movie. I love everything about it. I love doing the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice and just, I will be back.
It would have been a staple in cable, right? Back in the 80s. It would have been running every day, I would assume.
I'm sure
mine was a VHS. Yes. Mine was certainly, I remember grabbing the VHS off the thing. I remember being under the impression that this was a horror film.
Oh.
That's how I first looked at it.
Yeah.
It's structured like a horror movie in many ways. So, and I remember seeing it and being terrified as a young person watching it, but absolutely enthralled. And I doubt anyone from our generation hasn't seen this film close to 5 to 10 times minimum. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a nun in Italy. You've probably seen the Terminator.
Oh my, that's a good Arnold. I like an Arnold. He's amazing here.
Yes, that's a nice girl. Look where you get to
you gotta see him set a Connor, the Kyle Reese.
Well, let's get into the plot, as we like to get into talking about the basic plot of this. And it is one of the great plots. When it comes to science fiction movies, this is one of the great ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a very simple
people
time.
Who watch this today really understand how novel of an idea this was
at the time.
Yeah, and all born from a nightmare. That James Cameron had.
Yeah.
Which is also very, very cool. But the plot of this movie is one of the great time travel's plot because it simplifies it. But if you really want to dig into and think about the time travel, that's when your head starts to break a bit. And it's amusing in some ways because if you really think about what they've done in that one night, and it really takes place in one night, it's kind of funny if you really think about it, especially from her point of view.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about what happened before Kyle Reese went back in time. They're trying to explain this to him, and they're like, "Okay, Kyle, we're going to send you through this time machine. Okay, you have to take off all your clothes first." I'm sorry, what? Take off all your clothes. Take off every stitch. Get in the time machine. You can't go through with clothes. Just do it, Kyle. We're running out of time. Just do it. Takes off his clothes, gets in there. Goodbye, Kyle. Godspeed. Shh. He's gone. He took off all his clothes. Oh my God, that's gonna be hilarious.
I just seem to go bang my mum. Like, and remember, John Connor's fully aware.
Yeah,
That's
I was
the
gonna
case
say,
because
yeah.
he gives her a picture. He
Oh,
gives him a picture of her. Remember?
Hey,
Yeah.
Kyle, this is my mom. She's
hot,
hot, right? She's really hot. Sure, John. I suppose she's not here. Why don't you take this? Because I know you're kind of lonely in your bunk. It's your mom, dude.
Yeah.
So Schwarzenegger's like, remember Schwarzenegger at this point has done Conan, right? He's
Yeah.
done Conan. He's a big name, but this is, as far as I'm concerned, the big breakout role.
Absolutely.
Darnie trying to call me right now, but he
Please
can wait.
silence your cell phones during the motion picture.
Listen, I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
But I mean, he was not supposed to be the guy. There's been
No.
a couple of iterations. There's the famous story about OJ
Which is true.
being the Terminator, which is true.
Yeah.
But even before then, that's not what James Cameron envisioned. He envisioned somebody of the physique like the T-1000 was his initial idea. So he was thinking like an average guy. And Lance Henriksen, who's in the movie, he plays the cop, was initially James Cameron's first choice to play the Terminator.
Oh, that would have been crazy.
And it was over a lunch.
Yeah.
And it was a lunch, one of those lunch meetings Arnie had with James Cameron. And by the end of that meeting, he was like, well, I've got my Terminator.
Yeah.
You will give me this part now.
Just
don't hurt me.
Do you know the
What do you mean I have to take off all my clothes?
I'll do it. If you remember also what the film that James Cameron directed before the Terminator, do you know a bit of trivia here?
That's a good
His
trivia.
first film he directed and abandoned after principal photography. Jason,
Piranha
I think
2.
you know the film.
Piranha 2?
Correct.
Oh,
He got really lucky. And I think luck's got to do with it that he got this, but this is a tight script, guys. This thing moves along at a hell of a pace. And last time I'd seen it before, we just watched it here. I had a bad experience, but I had a very different experience this time. Although there are some issues that I think we need to address as we kind of go along.
You were telling us I don't know what. Hold on, wrong accent.
You're gonna go to Arnold.
Yeah, I really like it. No, you were sitting there saying, it really hasn't held up very well over the years. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, what?
It held up well.
It has, but it is clunky around the end of the second act. It gets a little bit clunky before they go into the third act. And there's a couple of cringy lines in that third act that still prickle me to this day.
Yeah, I
will say it. On your knees, soldier. That just sucks the soul out of me immediately when she says that. It's pretty bad. And look, I love Linda Hamilton, and she is the queen boss in Terminator 2. She's not fantastic in this film. I mean, I've got to say it. Even
look at the hair.
Look at the makeup.
She's supposed to be a waitress that is suddenly the savior of humanity.
She's supposed to be a 19-year-old waitress.
Yeah.
That's the oldest 19-year-old I've ever seen.
Yeah, she had a rough
finishing work, getting ready to go out with her boyfriend, who stands her up, and then 6 hours later is sleeping with, could be a homeless guy, because the pants he's wearing are from a homeless guy.
Yeah.
He's not wearing any underwear, by the way.
Nope.
Did that not bother anyone?
He
puts on
But you know what? In the future, it's pretty shitty anyway. So can I say that on here? I forget.
I'm sure those pants were too.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? You're right. They probably are. But no, I was thinking because like in the future, it looked pretty bleak and everybody seemed pretty homeless. So he might have been right at home with that homeless guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, talk about a great opening. You kind of mentioned it there, Joe. That opening sequence of 5 years from now, mind you, that's 5 years from now.
That's right.
In 2029, look at that miniature work. That miniature work is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The way it's lit, the way the tiny little skulls everywhere.
Yeah. It was
absolutely phenomenal.
That and having the backdrop, the projected backdrop behind the actors just makes it look so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a part where they're running away. Yeah,
right.
It's him and that soldier where then they kind of blow up. that one of the
She
chick
gets-
blows up, which was pretty cool as well.
There-
I did like
He
that.
gets lasered to death. Spoilers. No. 40-year-old movie.
But really, this film, in many ways, for me, it's a Michael Biehn star, isn't it? It's tragic when you think about that actor and his potential at the time and what really kind of happened. I know he's kind of back in a little way, but he was so phenomenal and so integral to keep this plot moving forward because it's his anxiety, his fear, his it's coming that really helps drive this plot further.
Right.
So,
It's a one big chase movie once it starts getting
Yes,
going.
it is.
And it's
And it-
Good
fantastic.
case.
And
Good
it
choice.
has the greatest exposition scene, I think, ever done on film. And I know they teach this in film school, is when you're in the car escaping and he starts explaining what the deal is.
Mm.
Yeah, to Sarah Connor. And it's happening in the middle of an action scene, which wasn't done before.
Right.
Usually exposition scenes are quiet scenes and you'll get your plot. But they're right in the minute, they're running away from the Terminator, and he's able to, with a really powerful performance, explain the story, explain how this whole thing works. And it is one of the movies have been stealing from that ever since.
Yep. Especially Fast and the Furious. For sure.
Yeah.
All of them.
It lives perfectly in its time frame too. Being a time travel movie, that really helps a lot. Because isn't it hilarious how everyone gathers information of her location in this film?
Yeah.
It's the phone book, right?
Connor, Sarah, Richard, Connor, Sarah. Oh,
and it's great because the Terminator reads that and, like a computer, right, just goes, I'm just going down the list.
Yep.
I'm just going to knock them off one by one.
And he knocked on the door, which bugged me out. It's like, ding, ding, dong. Hello? Are you Sarah Connor? Yes. I've got the refrigerator.
She said no.
Like, yeah.
Like, she said no. And he goes, sorry.
I'm sorry to disturb you.
I'll be back later.
He would have said something like, are you sure you're not Sarah Connor? Are you positive?
I'm 100%.
Let's give Arnie a lot of props here too, because his physical performance in this is fantastic.
Yes.
The way he carries himself, he moves his head. It's just like way walked through the nightclub.
Yeah.
It was all really cool.
Methodical and purposeful. It's just there's not a single look, not a single tick of his character that is not without purpose. And that's what makes the Terminator so terrifying, is that he's not human. This is not good Arnie from T2. This is bad Arnie who's going to get you.
This is raw as raw can be.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about talking about this.
Oh man, the trailer in the beginning.
And the psycho, the knife sharpening psycho from Cobra on the right.
Yeah, who I always considered to be Arnold's little brother, because he gets jacked later on in his career.
Yeah, Brian Thompson, Bill Paxton, and a third guy.
And other.
Nothing else, I think.
How would you like to be that third guy? And just say, "Oh, what? You were in Hollywood? Yeah, you remember Terminator? I was that third guy with Bill Paxton and Brian Thompson. I
gave up my clothes.
Yeah, I gave him my clothes because I was scared."
But you think about it, every time you watch that movie, you never look at him anyway. He does not draw the eye. He never draws the eye. So
except when he's wearing took off his coat, and that's Arnold's coat throughout the first half.
Yeah, that's where he's looking. Look, just look at Arnie there. The facial expression he's giving, it's just iconic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like somebody behind him farted and he knows it, but he's too polite to say anything.
That was you.
I want the alternate version where he lands and it's 3 Valley girls. So then he has to wear the bow tie, maybe some leggings and a little
I'm a Barbie girl.
Instead of Born to Be Wild, it's, girls just want to have fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. This scene I love. Jason, you know who the gun store owner is, don't you?
I do too.
Oh, yeah. That's the guy. He's a terrific character actor. I can't remember his name, but I remember him most from Gremlins.
In Gremlins, he had a problem with the tractor.
Yeah.
He's a great character actor, and what a great scene. Look, but by the way, he's the worst gun store owner ever because who puts bullets at front of the checkout?
Yeah, it's like they would
Like,
just take them.
Maybe not a smart choice, you know.
No, not at all. Well,
You can't
maybe
do
they
that.
learned from
Wrong.
this movie. Wrong. Yeah.
Wrong.
Boo.
There's a
Man.
great scene in the cop shop when they get hit, Michael Bain into the cop shop, and you know Kyle Reese going off and explaining, you know, what's happening. All think he's the same.
Oh, yeah.
You know what bothered me about it? It's not this movie. It bothers me. It bothers me that they kind of just go out and copy it for the next film,
Right? Because that's the same.
doesn't it?
same
It kind of
doctor.
watch this and go, God, Michael Bain is nailing it in this scene. This is amazing. Look at the delivery he's giving. And then you realize, oh, hang on. They just reshoot that with Linda Hamilton in the future film.
And the same doctor, which is hilarious. Rest his soul.
Yep. Who appears in 3 of the films. He even appears in Rise of the Machines in the graveyard.
Yep.
He's
Which
running
is
off.
Bizarre.
I don't hate that film, but I don't like it. It lives somewhere in the middle. Number 3.
I love Rise of the Machines.
Yeah, I like
I'm
it too.
completely
Yeah.
unapologetic about it. I love it.
Yeah, I like it and I hate it at the same time. It's one
You
of
did
those.
It
not
has one of the
save-
greatest. It has one of the greatest car chases of all time in it.
And
It
great.
does, and it has a great ending.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed. That was you didn't stop it. You just postponed it. This is an
Yeah.
evidence. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's like is this the Star Trek saying or whatever? Saying it's like time is like a river. No matter what you do, you're going to end up
yeah, in the
part of
same
the
flow.
flow.
Yeah.
It's just
I
going to happen.
think that's from My Little Pony.
Is it? Well, I was close.
I thought it was Care Bears.
Yeah, look, now the model work in this, you know, the Ray Harryhausen stop motion elements in this, and there's a couple of them, and you know, you kind of forgive it, but how strong of visuals are we getting in this film?
I mean,
And just
robot
look at that
scenes
when he comes
are-
through the TR100. I mean, it's just absolutely wonderfully done. You talked about rear projection before, Jason. I mean, they nail it in this. Like,
They did. It looks great.
This is before what is the Star Trek wall that they have?
The
AR wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the AR wall.
you just projected it onto a giant screen and just like
Yeah.
it's behind
What
you.
did they-
Oh no.
Yeah, did they call it the Void or something? For it was developed by Jon Favreau for Mandalorian.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was they call it the volume.
The volume.
It's
they created
the
it called the volume.
For Star Wars and for Star Trek they nicknamed it the holodeck.
Yeah, which is perfect.
I like
perfect.
more.
Like,
I like
you can't argue that. Now, one of the big issues I had with this film, and only this time, for the first time, I changed my mind on it. I don't generally like sex scenes in movies.
Oh,
I don't.
This one was necessary.
I'm very happy with the laying down on the bed and panning to the window. I don't need to see it. And I felt this way for a long time with the Terminator. Why do we need to get the sex scene? Which Jason mentioned before. The worst use of the theme ever is in that. You know,
Yeah.
but you have to have that scene in that movie. You have to have it.
Brad Fidel slowing it down for you. Yeah.
But you have to have that scene in the movie. And you know why? Because it is one of the most important moments with the mythology of this, because this is the moment of John Connor's conception.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it was like you have to have it in a way, really, don't you?
Yeah. It's the most important.
Kyle, I'm sending you back in time to save my mom. My hot mom who's totally into you.
Yeah,
you know what she really likes?
6 hours.
Pants that smell like feces. Wear pants that smell like feces. She's gonna be all over you.
So
and yell at her a lot. Yell at her a lot.
Yeah, she's really irresponsible because this is 1984. This is AIDS and peak season.
AIDS and
like,
peak season.
You know, you're using no protection whatsoever.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, in essence, it was a scene that had to kind of remain. And it does cause clunkiness in it. And you kind of need a couple of minutes afterwards to get you back into that mindset when they're going into the third act.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, there's a line that I absolutely despise in this. Get on your feet, soldier. But it does do a good trick, the third act, don't you think, guys? I mean, when you think about the third act, it does a couple of little twists and turns, which I really liked.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
becoming more of a like she's learning his ways, and it's slowly developing into what we get in T2. I feel at the end of this movie. So that's why I feel like the end was so powerful for her, especially as a character developing. So, and she's supposed to be the one that teaches John all the military ways and strategies. So I thought that this was a perfect connection for the sequel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very horror at this point too, isn't it? We
Yeah.
talked about early on how it's a horror film. This is classic horror because you think he's gone,
And he comes back.
just like a slasher movie, he comes back.
And he had that beautiful image of the Terminator rising from the fire.
Yes,
the
that's
T-100.
in that moment.
Yeah, that was so
Awesome.
cool. 'Cause I was like,
Awesome.
oh, he blew up. He's in pieces. Then it's nope. No, it just burned off Arnold. I'm coming.
I remember it. I remember being actually scared of this movie whenever I was younger. So yeah, I do think it's horror.
Yeah.
In a way,
it's a
you know,
robot
I mean, if you
trying
were
to kill you.
stacking, you know, you're back in 1988, you're working at a video store, you've got to stack the shelves. I would tend to put it in horror.
Yeah.
I'd have an argument with my manager whether it lives in sci-fi or horror.
Yeah. It's a tough one because it's time travel, robots, and
murder. Lots of murder.
Lots of
Yeah.
murder. Yeah. Murder from The Simpsons. So it would be kind of difficult to categorize this just because of the time travel and robots part, because that's all sci-fi. That's heavy sci-fi.
Yeah.
But because
But
this
we'll give it to go on.
so much murder, like you know, when he waxes off the first Sarah Connor on, it's just like everybody's getting. Actually, he kills Bill Paxton and the other guy and his little brother.
Bill Paxton and Lance Hendrickson and Michael Biehn. I think Michael Biehn. Yeah, they are the only actors who have been killed by Terminators, aliens, and Predators.
Really?
Oh, yes. I'm not happy about how Michael Biehn died in Aliens. I'm one of those. I do like the third film, but I do not like
it took me a second. I was like, "What? I don't."
Off camera in between movies.
Didn't he just go in a tube and that was it? And then, like 1,000 years later, they cloned Ripley. Like, isn't that how it happened?
No, the alien killed him by like peeing blood all over something in the ship. So yeah,
in the ship. Yeah, you get to see kind of like the acid in the
right. Yeah, now I remember. It was just been a while since Alien 3 freaked me out though with the way they filmed
this film. It made a little bit of money, but it wasn't super successful. It really got its reputation on video.
Oh, VHS vault, man.
Yeah, on video. And the thing is, it's such a closed story that you find it fascinating why he decided to do a sequel. Probably to me in my lifetime, the single greatest action film ever made in my mind, in my lifetime, is Terminator 2.
Yes. I agree.
So yeah. And it's interesting because when it came out, I'm sure there were a lot of dudes going, "Oh man, this is going to be so violent." The sequel, this is going to be, and they go take it in a different direction, which I think makes this film stand alone and make it even more special because it is so tonally different.
Yeah, this is peak '80s of everything's violent. You know,
definitely early '80s. Of that. Everything's nihilistic. Everything's dark. Everything. You know, I mean, your takeaway when you think about the I didn't put up my graphic for it because we do a takeaway.
Oh, look at that!
There you go. Is my takeaway from this is, look, it's not a perfect film, but what is? But this is such an important film in the modern version of pop culture. It is, and it lives on that mantle, rightfully so. You know, let's face it, between this movie and the next movie, they made 4 other crappy movies. They could never recapture the magic of this movie.
Yeah, that one's it's tough. It's tough because I was trying to think because when I was first trying to stream it, because I used to own it on DVD, but apparently when I moved here, I lost it. I only have Terminator 2, and I was trying to think like which other one was decent at least, and then I went none of them. But I heard they're going to do 3 was decent, but not 3.
Yeah, and then you jump straight to Salvation, then, which is such a misfire. And some of the worst line readings I've ever seen in a film is in that film.
Yeah,
it is shockingly badly acted. Even
Is that
from
the one
Christian
where
Bale.
Christian Bale's cursing out the guy because of the lighting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amateur, you bloody amateur.
Yeah. He had his moment and it got recorded, but there you go.
Yeah.
But no, the series never works. Even Dark Fate, which in its core is a good idea, it just doesn't come together well.
Yeah.
You know, so and Genesis had that really great ending, which was interesting, but again, you know, that was living breathing by.
I kind of wanted to see the further adventures of Liquid Metal Arnold Schwarzenegger, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just think that would be fun.
Yeah.
I am going to morph into a cheaper actor. Boom. I'm Steven Seagal now.
Oh no, we don't want that. That would be awful.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's one of those films out there. I think it's very special to anybody's heart who's into film. I think I would love to meet someone, even though I said I had problems with the clunky. I would really love to meet someone and go, this film is inherently crap, and I'd love to have a discussion with them because it's pretty airtight.
Yeah,
you know, besides a few lines here and there and some. You know, I'm not even going to mention the special effects because, yes, they're a product of the time. Yes, the replacement eye looks horrible these days, but it didn't back then. And
no, it looked amazing.
I thought it looked okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
all right.
His face, like his melting face that was reeking.
Yeah,
so the landlord was like, "What, did a cat die in there?" Like,
yeah. But man, Stan Winston, that design of that exoskeleton is just
sick.
It still looks as fresh and awesome today as it did back then. It's never aged, that design.
Yeah. That's why they never changed.
Like,
that's the one thing they hadn't changed in the whole series until the very, very last one, which people barely saw anyway. So
what, the exoskeleton? Did they change it that much in the last one?
Yeah, because he was like a half hybrid.
Oh, yeah. But still, if they were just the exoskeleton, I think they remain the same.
Yeah.
He might be slightly modified because he's a smaller figure.
Build, but it was pretty much the same.
This is a brilliant film. Well, I think we all agree. We love this film. I'm sure you love the film. We'd love to hear about your memories of it. What were your memories of watching this film? Is this something you watch regularly or you haven't seen it in 30 years? We'd love to hear you talk about it. And of course, what's most important is that you let us know what we are going to be watching next. And the best way to get a choice done, Jason, is how. How are they going to get their best opportunity to tell us what to watch?
You need to look at the video description below because there's a link to our Patreon. If you go to our Patreon and pledge as little as $5 a month, you have our ear. What would you like us to review? Just ask our friend John. Anytime he says jump, we jump. Review The Last Starfighter. Okay, we will.
We're just thankful Mr. Gibbons has taste.
Absolutely. If you suggest bad movies to us, we'll do those as well. I mean, come on.
We love them.
Yeah,
bad movies.
Yeah.
I actually like that movie though.
The one thing about this, and Jace, you and I had discussed it, you had brought it up, was that one of the strongest elements of this is the soundtrack. Brad Fiddell.
Oh, Brad Fiddell. Yeah, we forgot to talk about Brad Fiddell's iconic score. I mean, it's an earworm, right?
Yeah.
Ever since this got chosen, I've been in my head every day, at least doing that at some point during the day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's epic.
It's
fantastic movie.
And
thanks, guys, for watching. Sorry, go on.
Even the rock scores are pretty good. I ended up re-downloading them all again. So
yeah, you said you owned the soundtrack as well. I know you're a big soundtrack owner. But
yeah,
very, very much a product of the time in the 80s, you know. I think there's a little bit of synth in there at some point.
Oh,
too.
yeah, there's a lot of synth.
Yeah.
And guys that are in modern synth, there's a band called Gunship, and one of their biggest hits is called Tech Noir, which is...
I was just about to ask you guys, what's the name of the nightclub?
Yeah, the name of the nightclub is Tech Noir, which is where they got the idea for that. And they did a part 2.
Also... And also, I believe that name is also a description of how James Cameron categorized this film.
Yes.
He called it Tech Noir.
Yes.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're ending it now. We're getting out of here. It's been a fun show. Joe, thank you very much for being our special guest this week.
Thanks for having me.
We've had a blast.
Yeah.
Excellent. And we'll catch all you guys next time on the VHS Vault.
I'll be back.
Don't forget to join our Patreon video. Look at the video description below. Look at the Patreon. Give us money. Do it now.